Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihare Kunya Bihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihare Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhare Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Gajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhare Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhare Shishimad, Shivankadesha, Bhakti Vedanta, Sangahara, Shabhupaki, Ananda Vaishnava Prem Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasudha Bhaktivinoda, Shri Shyam Kunda Radha Puri Jai Vrindavan Jai Radham Jai Naritam Jai Janapuridan Jai Gangamai Jai Yamunamai Jai Tulasi Devi Jai Bhakti Devi Jai Samaveda Bhakti Jai Gauda Pramanam. All glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the assembly devotees, all glories to the devotees, all glories to Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namah Shivaya. Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Chanarane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachari Navira Shesha Shandhavani Pashchatyari Satarine. So we continue with the Transcendental Diary in Sri Vrindavan Dham. This is November 4th, 1976. Although people think this to be mythology, Srila Prabhupada said, nature's law will still act. Therefore, he told us, we should be intelligent and act only for our long-term benefit. Krishna consciousness is so simple that anyone can make advancement even though he or she may not be well educated. To illustrate how easy spiritual life is, he told us the story of Sri Chaitanya meeting with the illiterate Brahmana in South India. A devotee will be simply satisfied if he has got the opportunity of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam anywhere, any part of the world, sitting down underneath a tree. One who has got education, he can read Srimad Bhagavatam. But even if one has no education, he cannot read, still he has no problem. He can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So he can enjoy anywhere. There is a practical example in this connection. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring in the southern India, in the Ranganath temple, he saw one Brahmana. He was reading Bhagavad Gita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached him. And he saw the Brahmana was reading Bhagavad Gita and tears gliding down. So he could understand that he is a pure devotee. So he asked him, well, Brahmana, what you are reading? So he said, sir, I cannot read. I'm illiterate and I cannot read what is Bhagavad Gita, especially Sanskrit. His neighbors were criticizing him. They knew that this Brahmana is illiterate and he is making a show of reading Bhagavad Gita. So they were criticizing. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could understand that he is a pure devotee. So he asked him that what you are reading. He said frankly, sir, I cannot read. I have no education, illiterate. Then it appears that you are reading something. And if you are illiterate, why you are reading Bhagavad Gita? No, my Guru Maharaj said he knew that I was illiterate, but still my Guru Maharaj said that you read every day the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So on account of his order, although I do not know anything what is written there, I am trying to read. Oh, that's very nice. You are carrying the order of your Guru Maharaj. But it appears that you are crying also. How you are crying if you cannot read? Yes, sir. That's because as soon as I take this Bhagavad Gita in my hand, I see the picture that Arjuna is asking Krishna to place his chariot in the war field, and Krishna is driving the chariot by his order. So this is creating some feeling in me. Oh, Krishna is so kind, so nice, that although he's the supreme personality of Godhead, he's carrying the order of his devotee as servant. When I feel this, I cry, oh, now Krishna is so kind. How Krishna is merciful. So immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him. You are reading Bhagavad Gita. It is not the literacy or education or knowing grammar and putting jaggery of words. That is not reading. If one feels that it is if one feels what is the purport of Bhagavad Gita, that is reading Bhagavad Gita. So it does not depend on literary career. A devotee is simply satisfied if he can think of Krishna. Krishna wants that. Krishna never said, you become a great pandit or grammarian to read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. If you have otherwise, anyone, even a child, can do this. Man manabhava mat bhakto madhyadimam namaskuru. Bhagavad Gita 1865. One can come into this temple and offer obeisances. That will also do. Therefore, a devotee can be satisfied in any condition of life, provided he can think of Krishna's lotus feet. That's all. That much. Srila Prabhupada ki. So this is an interesting story. No? It's mentioned actually in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This doesn't stick anymore here. What do I do? Yes. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met this in South India. He met a Brahmin. I don't know if he was a Brahmin. He was just a person who was reading Bhagavad Gita. And even though he was blind, he still was very emotioned by reading Bhagavad Gita, apparently. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita says that people were laughing at him. They're making jokes about him because he seems to be off his mind. Yeah. And so when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the temple and he saw this person, he had heard about it, and so he approached and he asked him very nicely. And actually, Prabhupada mentioned in another time, he said that normally this person didn't react anymore to their laughing, nor to their speaking. They didn't want to speak to anybody of these people. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached, he could immediately feel or perceive that this was a very special person. Now he is really interested to hear what I have to say. So he told him that his spiritual master had told him to read Bhagavad Gita. And so he was making the effort. It was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was glorifying this. That you're following your guru, it's time to read Bhagavad Gita. And anyway, so he couldn't read, but he saw, another occasion Prabhupada said there was a picture on his Bhagavad Gita, with Arjuna and Krishna. And just by thinking of this relationship of Krishna with his devotee Arjuna, he became so emotional that he was crying all the time. And so this is, and Prabhupada mentioned this in regards to how simple, how even unqualified persons can become devotees. Unqualified from so many points of view in the material world. Just like on the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, a Shudra, a lady, what is that, a merchant, they can all be devotees, they can all become Krishna conscious, it doesn't matter. what condition they are, as soon as they're sincere, Krishna will accept them. Yes. Just like when Prabhupada came to the West, we were not high class, educated Brahmins and all that. No? He was actually, Prabhupada was saying that the hippies are our best customers. You know? They were our best customers. Anyway, I mentioned some of these things once. That when Prabhupada came to the Star Ranch, no, in San Francisco, there was a big, San Francisco was the mecca of the hippies at that time in America. And all the young people would go to San Francisco. You know, there were so many hippies there. Anyway, so then there was a farm, a hippie farm also. And so Prabhupada was invited to that farm. I think Tamal invited him, Tamal Krishna, before he was initiated. So he went to that farm of crazies, no? And at Malati, one of these very senior devotees, she was also there. She was at least she was taking part in that event when Prabhupada went there. And she said that when Prabhupada came into the farm, there was one hippie in the tree, naked. Yeah. So when Prabhupada approached, the hippie jumped from the tree and stood in front of Prabhupada in that condition, And he became Madhudvisa, one of the most important devotees in ISKCON. He became a GBC, he became a guru, and all this. Yeah. Just see, So this is the extraordinary mercy, of the real devotee, the real pure devotee. He is so compassionate. He wants to compart this mercy that he has received with as many as other people as possible. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said the quality of a Vaishnava is, you can see the quality of a Vaishnava and in how many other people he has turned into Vaishnavas. And you can see, Prabhupada, thousands. There was around, I think it was not 5,000, but 5,000, 4,000 something disciples of Prabhupada. And still people are becoming devotees. Why is this? Because our main purpose, our work, like we're taking prasad and we're getting up early, we're chanting Hare Krishna. But all this energy that is manifesting, is there to work for Krishna. Work for Krishna means spread the movement, preach, make others devotees, help others to become devotees, inspire them to become devotees. That is what Srila Prabhupada showed us. Prabhupada was constantly preaching. He was either preaching in the form of writing his books, he was preaching in the form of his classes that he gave, and he was also, all day, he was always with people to preach to. Yeah. And if there were no people to preach to, he preached to his disciples. Gave them the sauce. Anyway, so this is... so any questions with regards to this? Or any comment? You want to say something?
No, sir, I would like to open this board here.
Huh?
I would just like to open the board.
Oh.
Bring this on.
Yeah, okay. So let's continue then with the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Huh?
In English wahrscheinlich, oder?
English, no? Oder Deutsch? Huh? You are the only one who doesn't. Okay, so let's continue with this most wonderful Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktaravinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda.
Jaya 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 Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktaravinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda.
Tina?
So it's like 45. But I think this verse is from yesterday. So
Yeah, I can see. Maybe we should do it again then. Because actually it is jetzt weiß ich nicht, wie ich hier hochkomme. Kannst du mir helfen schnell hier?
Das sind immer nur die Verse, das heißt, du musst zurückgehen. Du müsstest den vorherigen Vers, oder?
Ja, geh. 40, yeah, das ist er. 44. Yeah. So, we continue with the verse from yesterday. Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana la paila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana la paila.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila. Jala gomaya diya se stana li paila. Bitte schön. Ja, please.
I don't have it memorized actually. Harike aniya sabadura karaila.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana le paila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana la paila.
You want to try to chant it?
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana le paila.
Jala gomaya diya se stana la paila.
This is going too fast. Bhagavatam.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila.
Adikeyaniya sabadura karaila. Jala gomaya diya se stana li paila. Okay, machen wir gleich weiter hier. Hadike, a sweeper. Aniya, calling. Sabha, all. Dudakaraila, caused to be thrown far. Jala, water. Gomaya, cow dung. Diya, mixing. Say, that. Sthana, place. Lipaila, caused to be smeared over. Translation. They called for a sweeper, Hadi, in Klammern, Hadi, who threw all the items of worship far away and cleans the place by mopping it with a mixture of water and cow dung. Purport. The men in Vedic society who engaged in public sanitary activities like picking up stool and sweeping the street are called Hadis. Sometimes they are untouchable, especially when engaged in their profession, yet such Hadis also have the right to become devotees. This is established by Sri Bhagavad Gita 9:32, where the Lord declares, Mammi partavya vashrita yepi syupapayonaha Shriyo vaishyas tata shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of lower births, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. There are many untouchables of the lower caste in India, but according to Vaishya principles, everyone is welcome to accept this Krishna consciousness movement on the spiritual platform of life and thus be freed from trouble. Neither equality nor fraternity is possible on the material platform. When Lord Chaitanya declared Trinadapi Sunichena Tarudiva Sahishnana, he indicates that one must be above the material conception of life. When one thoroughly understands that he is not the material body, but a spiritual soul, he is even humbler than a man of the lower caste, for he is spiritually elevated. Such humility, in which one thinks himself lower than the grass, is called sunichatva, and being more tolerant than a tree is called sahishnutva, forbearance. Being situated in devotional service, not caring for the material conception of life, is called amanitva, indifference to material respect. Yet a devotee thus situated is called manada, for he is prepared to give honor to others without hesitation. Mahatma Gandhi started the Harijan movement to purify the untouchables, but he was a failure because he thought that one could become a Harijan, a personal associate of the Lord, through some kind of material adjustment. That is not possible. Unless one fully realizes that he is not the body, but is a spiritual soul, there is no question of his becoming a Harijan. Those who do not follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his disciplic succession cannot distinguish between matter and spirit. And therefore all the ideas of a mixed up hodgepodge of problems. They are virtually lost in the bewildering network of Maya and Devi. So we read that before. No? Yeah, well, they're all new. Anyway, so we just heard about humble devotee in the form of this person sitting in the temple reading Bhagavad Gita without actually reading in his own way, not being able to actually read. We heard. It's a known fact that Gokishore Das Babaji also didn't read, couldn't read nor write. But still he was accepted by such a great educated person like Bhaktisiddhanta Bimala Prasad at that time. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Actually, Prabhupada explains in this context that the father cannot become a guru. So the natural or the greatest personality at that time was undoubtedly Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because of that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructed his son to take initiation, become a disciple of Gokishore Das Babaji. And the first reaction of Gokishore Das Babaji was, how? I'm so insignificant, you're such a great personality already. How can I be your guru? And he was, Bimala Prasad was so humble and everything. So then Gokishore Das Babaji said, okay, but I have to ask Krishna first. So then he went back and asked, so you asked Krishna already? He always said no. No, I haven't talked to Krishna yet. And then it came to the point that Bimala Prasad was so, yeah, determined. No? He said, "You are my spiritual. If you don't become my spiritual master, I will commit suicide." I remember in the old days we used to hear that he wanted to speak from a bridge or something like that. This is not. I never read that or heard it again after. Anyway, so when because he said, "My life is useless if I cannot become your disciple." And under that condition, not seeing his determination, his sincerity, Gopkishodas Bhavati mercifully gave him initiation. I mean, this is the best example. I mean, one of the good examples here. So, and this is now in the context. These verses are in the context that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his Sankirtan movement. And as we heard before, when he started inspiring devotees to chant Hare Krishna, he did it before closed doors, behind closed doors. And it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that he did that in order to first introduce the importance of chanting to a group, limited group, because it was actually very confidential. Just like one of the offenses is that we should not, what was that? Speak to those who have no face. Anyone can repeat the offense?
To chant, to preach the glories of the Lord to the faithless.
Yeah, to the faceless. Yeah. So he limited his group to preach to them very confidentially and inspire them to chant Hare Krishna. And then what happened was that one envious, so-called Brahmana, he started all kinds of politics, and in order to defame the group of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he got all the paraphernalia for the Kali worship. This is very popular in Bengal. Many people worship Kali Puja and Kali. They made deities of straw and how you say clay. Yes, and when they finish their puja, sometimes you see these deities thrown there. How you say broken. Yeah. Anyway, so this, and why Kali? Why they worship Kali? Because they're full of material desires. And it says that Kali fulfills these material desires. And there's a lot of friction between the devotees of Krishna and the Kali worshippers. Because Kali is actually not the supreme. She's Shakti Tattva. Shakti Tattva, she's the personification of the material energy. Anyway, so he got all this stuff together and put it in front of the door, where the devotees were meeting, to defame them. In other words, trying to say that they were low class, they were worshipping Kali. They're not worshipping Krishna, they're not worshipping Narayan, the Supreme Personality of God. So, then it says here, Tina Dina Rahise Gopala Chapala Sarvangehi Rakushta Vahiraktadara. After 3 days, now we're hearing about this Brahmana who did that. After 3 days, leprosy attacked the Gopal Chapala, and blood oozed from sores all over his body. Sarvanga Bahi Badire Kite Kate Nirantara Asarya Vadana Dukeji jvalaye antara, incessantly covered with germs and insects biting him all over his body. Gopal Chapala felt unbearable pain. His entire body burned in distress. Gangagate vrikshatale rahita vasiya ekadina balikichu prabhuke nikiya. Since leprosy is an infectious disease, Gopal Chapala left the village to sit down on the bank of the Ganges underneath a tree. One day, however, he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passing by and spoke to him as follows. Grama sambandheyami tomara matura bhaginamo ikushta vyadite anyachi vyakula. My dear nephew, I am your material uncle in our village relationship. Please see how greatly this attack of leprosy has afflicted me. We spoke about this the other time I was reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the villages, the older persons for the children were all like uncles and aunts, even though they were not directly in their family line. The same thing happened with the Kasi. I remember I spoke about that. The Kasi. Also when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made his manifestation with so many people, and they went right up to the house of the Kasi. Then Chaitanya went and got the Kasi out. He was hiding. So then, the Kasi said, "Why have you come to make so? I was fearing your group, and actually I'm your uncle." Because he was also from the village. Anyway, so there's the same thing that he says here. My dear nephew, I'm your maternal uncle in our village relationship. Please see how greatly this attack of leprosy has afflicted me. Lokasabha utarite tomara vatara Munyi Baraduki More Karaha Udhara. As an incarnation of God, you're delivering so many fallen souls. I'm also greatly unhappy, a greatly unhappy soul. Kindly deliver me by your mercy. Purport. It appears that although Gopal Chapala was sinful, talkative, and insulting, he nevertheless had the qualification of simplicity. Thus he believed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had come to deliver all fallen souls. And he appealed for his own deliverance, seeking the mercy of the Lord. He did not know, however, that the deliverance of the fallen does not consist of curing their bodily diseases, although it is also a fact that when a man is delivered from the material clutches, his material bodily diseases are automatically cured. Gopal Chapala simply wanted to be delivered from the bodily sufferings of leprosy. But Sri Chaitanya, although accepting his sincere appeal, wanted to inform him of the real cause of suffering. Etasuni Mahaprabhuda iha lila kruthamana Krodha veshe balitare tarjana vachana. Translation. Hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared greatly angry, and in that angry mood he spoke some words chastising him. Are papi bhaktadveshi torana udara udarimo koti janma e mate kiraya kao yaimu. O sinful person, envious of pure devotees, I shall not deliver you. Rather, I shall have you bitten by these germs for many millions of years. Purport. We should note again that all our sufferings in the material world, especially from disease, are due to our past sinful activities. And all our sinful activities, actions directed against the pure devotee out of sheer envy, are considered extremely severe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Gopal Chapala to understand the cause of his suffering. Any person who disturbs a pure devotee engaged in broadcasting the holy name of the Lord is certainly punished, like Gopal Chapala. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we shall see, one who offends a pure devotee can never satisfy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless and until he sincerely regrets his offense and thus rectifies it. Interesting point. No. And I just heard in a class, Prabhupada saying, a devotee should see things as follows. When he suffers, he should think, this is due to my sinful reactions. And when he is happy, he should think that this is the mercy of Krishna. Whereas a materialistic person thinks, when I'm happy, I'm the cause. See? Huh? No? I'm important. Yeah? Aham. No? And when he suffers, he thinks this is injustice, and I shouldn't suffer so much. I'm a good person. How is it possible I suffer? Yeah. So that's what's mentioned here. No? That he was very Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that all these problems that we have actually are due to our sinful activities, diseases and all that. Of course, one can say, well, that's part of life. Like when you get old, you get more and more sick and more problems. But this is just all karma. There's good karma, bad karma, and mixed karma that you get due to your previous activities. Just like you're born in a country where the Russians are attacking. This is also karma. This is collective karma. Then so many people had this corona. Why they were suffering? This is also collective karma. And Prabhupada used to say, when they kill a lot of animals, then it's possible that there will be war. They will be killed, just like they killed the animals, then they also are killed. And all those people who supposed to get the karma, they reunited. This is all, they get it together. This is what is called collective karma. Of course, devotees see things different, just like I mentioned. It says in the Bhagavatam, not a blade of grass moves without the arrangement of Krishna, without the control of Krishna. And it also says that the clouds are moving out of fear of Krishna also. Everything is under the control. Ultimately, under the control of the ultimate authority. These are all, like I say, this is like a chain. Yeah. So we better deal properly. And how do we know what is proper? Well, when you're fortunate, you get in touch with this knowledge. You have to be very, very fortunate to receive this incredible, or this transcendental knowledge. This was actually the mission of Srila Prabhupada, give us knowledge. Give us knowledge to enlighten us about our real position. that we are actually not that important as we think, but rather we are very, very insignificant. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, somehow showed his divine anger. Superficially one might think, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not really that merciful. But there's when great souls apply anger, it is also for the benefit of everybody, or for this particular people or persons or disciples or whatever it is. Like Prabhupada also. We had a class here once, a couple of months ago, and somebody was giving the class and was reading from the diary, Transcendental Diary here that we're reading before class. And in that occasion, Prabhupada was very angry. And the person mentioned that, wow, Prabhupada was so angry. So angry. As if this was kind of, how you say, out of the
ordinary.
Out of the ordinary, that Prabhupada became so angry. But even when the Prabhupada becomes angry, or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or when Krishna becomes angry, it's divine. It's for our benefit. Just like when the father, sometimes, wie sagt man, gibt eine Ohrfeige. Wie sagt man das in Deutsch? Huh? Yes, gives a child a slap, not because he hates the child, but in order to correct him. In order to correct him. And when, let me tell you, when Prabhupada became angry sometimes, devotees would never forget. And the reason why Prabhupada began, they would try to avoid this thing. This was, and Prabhupada became very serious and became angry, so the devotees would take it very seriously. Their mistake, or he was pointing, so they would never do it again. Just like I've given this example many times. One time in a meeting with disciples, one disciple sticked his finger in his mouth, and Prabhupada stopped everything. He said, "Muchi!" There's Suchi and Muchi. Suchi is pure, and Muchi is dirty. Go and wash your hands. And I'm sure that person never stuck his finger again in his mouth, at least not in the association of devotees. Or he understood that this is very serious business. Prabhupada transformed the muchis to suchis. How is that? This is incredible. That we stopped eating meat and taking drugs and all these things. I heard that at the first initiation, or was it the second initiation on New York? The devotees already chanting, and they had these huge beads, these red beads. I don't know if you ever saw the pictures. Tremendous. They were not Tulsi Mala. At that time, we didn't have Tulsi Mala. We went to the what is it shop here in Deutschland?
Bastel.
Eine Kette, Handwerkskette. Bauhaus? No. What? Bauhaus? Yeah, Bauhaus. Yeah. And we used to go to Bauhaus and get all these Holzperlen. Yeah. And we had, and also we didn't have Tulsi neck beads. No, we had also neck beads, but they were also from Bauhaus. And sometimes they were even colored, kind of yellow, or kind of. And then we gladly found out that the proper way to have beads was, Tulsi beads is more auspicious, also neck beads is more auspicious. Yeah, like that. Yeah. And these were very difficult to get. Very difficult to get. So anyway, so Srila Prabhupada saved us and re-educated us. And I just spoke to a devotee 2 days ago. And we were talking. He was helping with the computer, and all of a sudden his mother called him up. And then the Bhakta said, "Just a minute, I have to talk to my mother." It was in my room. Yeah, and then he spoke in Russian with his mother, and then he turned around the phone and showed me. She could also see me, and I kind of waved my head. And then she started speaking in English all of a sudden. Some niceties. How you say in English? Niceties?
Polite.
Yeah, some polite things. Yes. Anyway. And then, so when this phone call was finished, I asked him, "So, how is your mother seeing you becoming a devotee?" And then he said something very nicely. He said, "My mother is very surprised how I have changed. My character, how the good qualities that I have developed since I'm associated with the devotees." Very nice. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on. Shiva Sikaraini Tui Bhavani Pujana Koti Janma Havitora Raurave Patana. You have made Shiva's Thakur appear to have been worshipping the goddess Bhavani. Simply for this offense, you will have to fall down into hellish life for 10 million births. Purport. There are many tantric followers who, wishing to eat meat and drink wine, practice the black art of worshipping the goddess Bhavani in a crematorium. Such fools also consider this Bhavani Puja to be as good as worship of Lord Krishna in devotional service. But such abominable tantric activities performed by so-called swamis and yogis are herein condemned by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He declares that such Bhavani Puja for drinking wine and eating meat quickly plunges one into hellish life. The method of worship itself is already hellish, and its result must also be hellish and nothing more. Prabhupada mentioned once that Bhavani or Kali, they offer meat to the goddess. And then Prabhupada mentioned that actually the goddess Kali doesn't accept meat. So that this is kind of an offering in vain, how you say? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Mayavadis, many rascals say that whatever way one accepts, one will ultimately reach Brahman. Yet we can see from this verse how such persons reach Brahman. Brahman spreads everywhere, but appreciation of Brahman in different objects leads to different results. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:11, the Lord says, "Ye yatamam papadyante tang sajaiva bhajamyaham." I reward everyone according to his surrender unto me. Mayavadis certainly realize Brahman in certain aspects, but realization of Brahman in the aspects of wine, women, and meat is not the same realization of Brahman that devotees achieve by chanting, dancing, and eating prasad. Mayavadi philosophers, being educated in paltry knowledge, think all sorts of Brahman realization one and the same, and do not consider varieties. But although Krishna is everywhere, by his inconceivable potency he is simultaneously not everywhere. Thus, the Brahman realization of the Tantric cult is not the same Brahman realization as that of pure devotees. Unless one reaches the highest point of Brahman realization, Krishna consciousness, he is punishable. All people except Krishna conscious devotees are to some proportion pasandis. All people except Krishna conscious devotees are to some proportion pasandis or demons. And thus they are punishable by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, as stated below. As a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Pavitim cha nivitim cha janana vidudasura nasocham na pisacharo satyam teshu vitate. Where Krishna says, the demons, they don't know what to do and what not to do. Pavitim cha nasocham na pisacharo. There's no cleanliness. Socham. Nasocham acharo. It's like we know, acharya. Acharya behaves exemplary. So they have no proper behavior. There's no cleanliness in them, and also nasatyam teshu vitate. There's no truth in them. So everything they say, everything they do is not based on truth or reality, really. No, and then here Prabhupada says, no, what is that? All people except Krishna conscious devotees are to some proportion pasandis or demons. Demons. And thus they are punishable by the Supreme Lord, the personality of God, as stated below. So this is the extraordinary mercy of the devotees, that they start engaging people in relation to Krishna. Like I mentioned many times, our neighbors, every day they hear ching, 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. When you walk out here doing a kirtan, and you go walk up to the hammer shop there, the kiosk, you can still hear the kirtan. It's heard all over the street here. All the neighbors are here. They got accustomed to hearing the chanting of the devotees. Yeah. And Prabhupada used to say that this sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration, penetrates all their coverings and goes to the heart and starts purifying the heart. Yeah, the transcendental sound vibration. And so when they hear this regularly, they become more and more purified. More and more appreciative also. Because, well, if they're fortunate, they all of a sudden also appear or get some prasad for devotee. They hear the holy names, get prasad. Or maybe some nosy one comes and, what's this exactly? And comes for the Sunday feast, or look, at least look. Yes, that's our work. That's our propaganda. Nilamita told me a Sankirtan pastime. She said she had no time to go very far away. So she started distributing books here, in the street to the neighbors. And there was a lady opposite here, in the opposite building. She was trying to open the door with a key, and she approached her. And he said, explained things to her and this and that. And then the lady said, oh really, Hare Krishna, you're here? It's amazing, they live so close to the temple, and they have I'm accustomed to a different mood. In South America, at Christmas and all these things, devotees go door to door and distribute prasad. They make special cakes for Christmas, for example. There's a special Christmas cake that the Argentines are taking, like their tradition. So devotees make that very nicely. And they go from door to door and distribute it on Christmas. Or when there is a New Year, and everyone is with his firecrackers and all this stuff, devotees go out and chant in the middle of all this. And people come and they dance on the balconies, everyone, because it's very hot at that time. It's just opposite from here. When there's winter here, there's summer. So there's no snow for Christmas. Yeah. So then when the devotees come out, then And in the midst of the firecrackers and all that, they chant and chant very nicely. People all start also taking part in the dancing and chanting. And then they come behind the devotees, they go to the temple, and there's a big feast for them also. Yeah, so the neighbors all know. And some neighbors have told the devotees that they become so accustomed to this Harinam on New Year, they were already waiting for the devotees. Where are they? Where are they? Anyway, so this is the benefit of being close to devotees. Oh, it's annoying. Any question? Any comments? Ja, bitte. Ja, bitte.
Do you recommend us to also do the same?
Sorry?
Do you recommend to us to also do the same here to distribute prashadam in the neighborhood and to go out on Christmas and all this?
It's up to you. Of course, it's also, the Latinos, or they call them, South America, they're more emotional and more social. It's not they sit in front of the houses, at night in summer, and all the neighbors are meeting and all this. Here, most of the people don't even know who the neighbors are. Somebody might die, and they notice after months it's some big smell at a Treppenhaus, It's more social. You can try, why not? Or better the girls go, the ladies go. Nicely dressed in sari, take big tilak, flowers and all that, and they go door to door and distribute prasad. Like Kanchani and her husband. Right now they're doing cooking for some seminar or something. Yeah, and they always send me photos of their program when they sell prasad. And then what they do also is yesterday they sent me photos from a program where full of people, where they were cooking for, and they were all dancing and chanting and laughing. That's what they do when they, at the Ants Day, they invite everybody to chant Hare Krishna with them. Instead of just going. And they're very friendly also. There's a couple who's very, very, I don't know how in English, not so reserved.
Sociable?
Yeah, they're very social. And Kanchani brings this mentality also. Yeah, what do you think? Was denkst du denn?
I think we should do it at least once a year.
Huh?
I think we should distribute to the whole neighborhood at least once a year.
Do it.
Wir haben das auch gemacht, zumindest, weil der Tempel in Leipzig ist ja in immer einem Haus. Und zumindest den
Leipzig, die ganze Gruppe in Leipzig war sehr speziell.
Zumindest den Hausbewohnern.
Ja.
Das machen wir auch immer noch, dass wir an
Ja.
Weihnachten zumindest den Hausbewohnern das Passat
Ja.
schenken, damit die auch bei uns freundlich gesinnt sind.
Ja. Leipzig war ein sehr spezieller Tempel. Die waren wirklich in der Szene da auch. Ja, oder? Ja. Ach, das Haus, das war mitten so einer Umgebung, wo alles solche Leute lebten. Ja. als Halle da gejoint ist, ne? Da ist er hier eingezogen. Und nach einiger Zeit war es ihm zu langweilig hier. Weil hier spielte sich nichts ab.
Das war ganz anders.
Ja, war eine ganz andere Atmosphäre als heute. Ja. Und dann ist er nach Leipzig gegangen. Und da ist er praktisch dann zum Devoti geworden, ne, oder? Ja. Da wurde er dann trainiert. Ja. Noch eine Frage und ein Kommentar? Chaitanya Lila? Ja, richtig. Richtig.
In English or Deutsch?
Bitte?
In Deutsch.
English.
English. Yeah, you said that we should accept our karma as devotees should be humble and accept whenever something worse happened to us, we should accept. And if something good happened to us, we should be seeing as a mercy of Krishna.
Mhm.
So what should be our prayers to in good or bad times? Should we pray for what we should pray that we
Oh my Lord, please engage me in your service. Prabhupada hat uns die Übersetzung gegeben vom Mahamantra. O Krishna, O Energie, wie sagt man in Deutsch?
Ja,
Energie Krishna, bitte beschäftigt mich in eurem Service, in eurem Dienst. Ja? Das ist ja gerade der Punkt hier, der gemacht wurde in einem dieser Verse. Ja? Dass dieser Brahmane, nachdem er die Offense begangen hat gegen die Devotis, die heiligen Namenschannen, als er dann plötzlich Lepra bekam, dann hat er Chaitanya Mahaprabhu und wollte, dass Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ihn befreit von der Lepra, von der Krankheit. Das heißt, er war nur interessiert an seinem eigenen, wie sagt man, sein eigenes Problem zu lösen. Ja? Er war nicht interessiert an Service, sein Leben zu verändern. Und deshalb wurde Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so ärgerlich. Bah! Ja? Für Millionen von Leben musst du noch leiden. Oder was denkst du?
So what came to my mind is because you said that when, for example, Prabhupada became angry, that was divine.
Yeah.
So what about if a devotee gets angry?
Depends on the devotee. If he's a Kanishta Adhikar, be careful. If it's a Madhyam Adhikar, well, that's preaching. Sometimes you have to make the point. And it's actually said that a Madhyam Adhikari should not associate with non-devotees. I mean, especially with demons who are envious. No? There should be, what was that, 4 or 5 ways. No, he should be merciful with the innocent, give them mercy, make friends with the devotees. What else was it?
Avoid the atheists.
Yeah, avoid the atheists, and there was something else.
There's innocent that he's merciful towards. There's the devotees. Isn't one of them he's preaching to them? Some of them, right? Remember, there's innocent, there's devotee, there's atheist.
Anyway, so there's characteristics, you know. Whereas Uttama Adhikari, he is just so humble that he doesn't feel qualified to preach to them because he thinks that everyone is better than me. So what is the use of me preaching to them? And Prabhupada said, when such a devotee, for such a devotee, when he starts preaching, he should act as a Madhyam Adhikari. Yeah. Discriminate and preach. Preaching means also cutting the Maya, separating the truth from what is not truth. Cutting. Yes, we're not the body, and we're not the body, and we're not the body, and we're not the body! Huh? Like I mentioned the other day, when it's repeated 3 times, it's heavy. Harinama, 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 Kevanam, Kalo, Nasteva, 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 Katidanyata. There's no other way. There's no other way. There's no other way than chanting Hare Krishna, then chanting Hare Krishna, then chanting Hare Krishna. Is that clear? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki. Habe ich deine Frage beantwortet?
Ja.
Ja?
Ich habe gefragt, weil es viele Leute zum Beispiel auch
Really?